Okay, so today I have Javaria joining me on the podcast, and she and I have had this long-standing conversation going on Instagram and even over email for what, maybe 4 or 5 years now?
Definitely,
Would
yeah.
you say? Yeah. And so it just hit me a few weeks ago. I thought, oh my goodness, I have to have her on the podcast because I'm so fascinated by you. I love the way you do family life and your story. And I really cannot wait to dig into it. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and like just tell everyone a little bit about you to start?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. This is exciting. I'm Javaria. I am a mom of four. My children are 18, 15, 12, and 7. And I guess I'm a byproduct of two very different but unique cultures. I was born in the US, but then I spent a good amount of my childhood in Pakistan. It's a small country in South Asia, right next to
Mm-hmm.
China and India. Um, and then when I was about 17, I came to the US, and I'm 42 now, and I've been in the US since I was 17. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm definitely a good byproduct of the two different countries and cultures, very different cultures, but I feel like it allowed me to be a good mix of both. And then my husband's from India. We met in Florida. We both went to university in Tampa, Florida, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we met. And then I came to Pittsburgh for my master's degree. He followed me. And this is the first apartment that we lived in together, and we're still here. It's a
Oh my goodness.
675 square foot apartment, and we've been here all these years. And then I homeschool in here. So
Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's so much here that I am so excited to unpack with you because I think it's so fascinating how like one you have the two different cultural backgrounds that you have, assimilated into what makes you so unique and I think impacts the way that you raise your family and also like the living tiny and all of that. So okay, let me see where I want to start here. So tell me a little bit about what it has been like living and being between two different cultures, like being born in the States, moving back to Pakistan, and then coming back here when you were 17. What has that been like for you navigating, especially raising a family and kind of those two cultures coming together in your home?
So I think when you're growing up, you don't realize how, I mean, you do realize a few differences when you're going to school. I think my funniest story is when I was in like seventh grade. I think that's the first time I realized that dishwashers are meant to wash dishes and not store clean dishes. And as I got older, I realized it wasn't just a Pakistani thing, it was a very broad Asian thing to do. Most Asian families, they wash the dishes by hand, and the dishwasher was meant to store dishes. And I remember going to my friend's house, and they were actually washing the dishes. And I came home and I'm like, I'm never doing the dishes again.
You're
And
like,
I
why
remember
didn't
everyone was
anyone
like,
tell
she's
me?
too Americanized. And I'm like, no, it's meant to do that. But, and funny enough, now I don't have a dishwasher. I want a dishwasher, but then I question, would I use it? And sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm turning into my own family.
But isn't that always the case of like, as we get older, we see in ourselves the ways that we are so like our families, the things that maybe even we said, like, I'm going to do this differently. And then,
Yes. And then a
yeah,
lot of things are different. But I mean, this was like just one of those silly things that you notice. And there are differences, but I think the bigger differences were when I went to university. I had come from Pakistan, and then I went to college here, so I started noticing differences. And I think that's a good age for you to adapt, because I think when you're younger, you're still like learning things, you're still learning
hmm,
about your own identity. And by the time you're 17, 18, you're that's such a it's such a beautiful stage between 17 and 24, I feel like, because your brain's growing, you are growing as a
yes,
human being, and you're able to put aside all the biases and prejudices and differences and adapt.
hmm,
And I think as you get older, and then in my case, I married my husband who's from another culture
hmm,
and country. So then bringing all the three cultures and countries together, and I think like you just uh, like if you allow yourself to become open-minded, you have the capacity to actually pick and choose the best of each world, and
Mm-hmm.
leave aside the things that you don't like about each culture,
Mm-hmm.
because no country, no culture is perfect, and so you
Yeah.
can choose what you like best from each place and bring it into your world. And I think that's the best part about having
Oh,
that
yeah.
having that childhood, or having the variety that I did. So I consider myself very lucky.
Yes. Yes. And your kids as well, because, I follow you on Instagram and I have for some time. I think really like I was trying to remember when we first connected. And I want to say it was because of when we were living in our 675 square foot house
I think so.
years
I
and
think that's
years
when I came across your account and we
so long
started chatting.
ago.
Definitely.
Yes, so long ago. And we had a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house, and I was pregnant with my third. And then I think I was looking for other families who were living similarly. Like, are we just crazy that we're doing this? Like, no one else around us, they all have, 2 or 3,000 square foot houses. And here we all are just like crammed together. And then I found you. And I think you really normalized what it looks like to raise your family and be intentional in a small space and truly like not only make it work, but thrive with that
Thank you.
lifestyle.
That's so nice of you to say that. I appreciate it. Because
Yeah.
I do want to normalize what a lot of people think is different, or what they might be frightened. And just going off this, I do receive DMs every day, and it breaks my heart that all these people, they feel judged, or sometimes it's single mothers who are just trying to survive, or if it's young couples, or it could be older couples, it doesn't matter,
Hmm.
but you're just trying to function in this in the society, in this with inflation, with all the issues going on,
Oh,
with things that
yeah.
have changed so drastically in the past 20, 25, 30 years. And the fact that like they're just constantly questioned as to when they're going to move, or when they will have separate rooms for their children, or uh, I don't know, when they'll live in the suburbs, or like
Yeah.
like a normal family.
Be a normal family, everyone. Like, do it like everyone else, which is for you and I, like, that's not how we do life.
That frightens me. The word
Yeah.
normal frightens me.
Yeah.
It because I feel that the most normal thing you can do is be who you are, be
Mm.
comfortable with where you are in your life, be content. And it's not to say that you shouldn't have big dreams, or you should never live
Hmm.
in a big house, because sometimes I think like people, when my lifestyle does offend people sometimes, and I think they take it very personally. I think
Yeah.
I mean, and trust me, I've lived in big houses. I mean,
Hmm.
I have lived in what you would refer to as McMansions, like 10,000
Hmm.
square feet homes. I've lived in them.
Yeah.
And again, if that's, what you want, that's good. But I think there should be room for everyone,
Yes.
and everyone's lifestyle, and everyone's choices. And I think the, that that's where it's okay to not be normal. It's okay not to do
Yes.
what the norm states, because I mean, even our world is not going the normal way
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
current, I don't know, environment.
Yes.
So it's okay
Yes.
to be different.
Yes. And I think too, like, it's so important to have your own path and your own vision for your family and really be comfortable charting your own path, because it's when we look outward and we try to make our decisions based on what everyone else is doing, but then something happens like the last few years in our world, right? And if you don't have that steady foundation that you feel secure on, it can be really really destabilizing. And
Definitely.
yeah, so how has it?
You I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no. Oh, I know we're both so excited about this conversation. Well, I was going to kind of take it in a new direction. So say what was it you were going to say about that?
Oh, I have no idea. I get so excited about something, and then it'll come back to
We're
me.
two of a kind. Yes.
we'll we'll come back. It'll come back to me, and then I'll be like, oh, now I know what I was going to
Yes.
say.
Perfect. We'll just squeeze it in. So Okay, so when you think about like the way that you have raised your family, like tell us a little bit more about what home life is like. Like I'm sure people are so curious. 4 kids, ages you said 7 to 18, right?
7 to 18,
7 to 18, 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
Yeah. So what does like a typical day look like in your home? Like what does family life look like?
Um, an average day, it's such a funny question. I know people get curious, but because I live the life, I have to like take a moment to figure out
You're
what
like,
do we do that.
what do we do?
What I know, right? Like because
I get it.
to me, we
Yes.
don't do anything.
Yes.
Um, just we like I wake up in the morning earlier than everyone.
Hmm.
I'm naturally a morning person, so I try to wake up between 5 and 6. I get my workouts done, and I try to have at least a couple of hours of just quiet time before anyone else wakes up. That way, I don't feel overwhelmed in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like more than my children, my husband overwhelms me because he's just
I get that. I
like
totally get that.
he's not a morning person and he's really annoying in the morning. So, but he likes to wake up in the morning because he has to work. So, so
Yep.
he goes outside to work out. I work out in the
Hmm.
apartment, and then like our day starts. Then he makes breakfast, and I try to just again like do some meditation or walk or relax. And all of us do have breakfast together, usually around 8. So
Hmm.
that's we try to do that. That we try to, especially like I think that's the best thing that happened when COVID started, because my husband started working from home, and
Yeah.
and I don't want to sound insensitive. I know it's a horrible thing, but I'm just saying for my
Yeah.
family, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise because he started working from home and we were able to do things that we used to wish for, but we were actually able to
Yeah. Like
uh,
what?
put them into action. For example, have breakfast together, have lunch
Yeah.
together,
Mm.
sit down and just spend time together, talk, communicate more. Um, so we do that, and then from there on, like the kids, they have school. My husband, he starts work around 10, and
Hmm.
I'm not very rigid with the school routine. I appreciate it like if they're done by noon, and then after
Hmm.
lunch, I want them to focus on more like extracurricular activities. Obviously, that doesn't apply to my 18-year-old. He's in 12th
Hmm.
grade. He's finishing high school. He's like applying for scholarships, colleges, all of that.
Incredible.
But the younger three, they spend time on multiplication tables. They do their schoolwork. I have workbooks and
Hmm.
stuff, and it's more of a laid back routine. I feel like the more laid back I become, the more they learn. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just my mindset, and then like then I really don't know. Then I watch TV once they're all
Yeah.
set. That's how I relax. Like I'm not, I don't know. I'm not like into arts and crafts. I don't even know
Yeah.
what I'm into. Like I still haven't figured out what I like.
It's,
I
you
like
know,
food.
joy,
I like
joy.
eating. I don't like cooking. I love to eat. I love having
Oh
people
my
over, but because
gosh.
of COVID, we haven't done that. So
Yes, I am just
uh,
dying here because it's just like every mom that I ever talked to, we're like, what do we like? We don't even know. I had one of my clients on a few weeks ago, Lindsay Dober, and she said the same thing about someone asking her, like, what do you like to do? What's fun for you? And she like was so startled. She was like, I like cheeseburgers. Like she didn't even, and so, but it is this thing, right? It's like we're so invested in our kids and our families, and we're just like life is moving, and it's like what do we like? So I think it's a
that's
common
such a good
question.
point because when I mentioned this podcast to my husband and my children, they were very excited. And one of the things was they were asking, what are you going to say? And I said, well, I'll tell them I have 4 kids. I homeschool you guys, and it was just a casual conversation. And my 18-year-old Zen, he said, what about you? There's nothing about you. And I was like, but what about me? What do I like? And he's like, you like books and teapots and you love YouTube. and, and then he's like, you love trash TV. And I'm like, you know what? I am so glad that you notice what I like because sometimes you're right. Like being so busy, notice
Yes.
what you like anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I thought
It's so
it was funny when he said that. He was like, "You like all those things?" He's like, "Do you not see that bookcase filled with books? Those are all yours." I'm like, you know what? Who would have thought? Yeah.
yes, it's so true. But you know what? How cool though that, your children are so observant, right? It's like kids in general, we don't realize how much they pay attention and they take in from the environment and they observe about us. And,
They
they're
definitely
they're
do.
watching you. Yeah. So it's like when you think about your home environment and like the values and beliefs that you hope your kids walk away from the home with, like they leave, and what are the things that you hope that they really will like have in their hearts?
My biggest wish for them, or the biggest thing I want them to have in their lives, is confidence. Because I think
Mm,
if you are confident, life becomes easy and it
yeah.
allows for optimism to reside within you. Because and I'm not talking about being cocky or having a big ego, because
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people confuse confidence with that. I'm talking about true confidence,
Mm,
because true confidence means that you are so happy with who you are, what you are, where
yes.
you are, what you look like, whatever you're doing or not doing in your life. You don't need titles to feel content. You don't need other people's definition of success to define you. You don't need anyone's anyone's approval besides your own. And when none of those things matter, you
Yeah.
just find that peace and you're happy, and and when you're happy, it's very easy to be optimistic. And when you're an optimist, it's easy to uh, just be happy and be
Mm,
content, to be and find the good in other people. It's easy to find the good in the world. I actually want them to believe that the world is a wonderful, happy, beautiful place. I really do, because I
yes.
believe that. I want them to see the positive and the good aspects of every human being, because I
Hmm.
firmly believe that if we teach our children that the world is a wonderful, happy, beautiful place, and if we teach them to find the good in other people, they genuinely will. And then,
Yes.
as a matter of fact, they will actually only attract people who will be there to help them. And I've seen that in my life firsthand, that I mean, I've only had wonderful, supportive, incredible people who came into my life, and then the ones who
Yes.
weren't that kind or nice, they just automatically left on their own. I didn't even have to do
yes.
anything to make them go away. They just went
Yes.
away, because when you truly believe that, so I want them to have that confidence. I want them to have that optimism and belief that everyone is there's
Mm,
some good in everyone. The world is a wonderful place. And I want them to believe in make believe, or
mm,
miracles, fairy tales. I don't know, there are other words,
yes.
whatever you want to, happily ever afters, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want them to uh, genuinely, with all their heart and might, believe in that, because if you don't believe in that, you
Mm,
will never have it. Just like confidence, if you have confidence, you know what you deserve in life. You will not settle for something that you're not that's not good enough for you. So you're not going to
yes.
settle for uh, just an all right job or an okay profession, or for example, like, forget about all that. Like, I'm considered just a housewife or just a stay
Hmm.
at home mom, but I don't care. Because I'm so happy. I see it as a
Yes.
privilege that I get to sit on my sofa and drink tea and watch TV and
Yes.
enjoy my
Yes.
life. I mean, what could be better? So you
Yeah.
just have to own whatever you are. If I'm bad at math, good. I have a husband who's a human calculator. I
Yes.
mean, what is he here for? If I don't like to cook, I because I believe that I will find someone who will cook for me, my husband
yeah.
does that. And why not? It's
Yes.
and I know it sounds like it sounds crazy in some way, but I genuinely believe that. I believe you have to have the
Yeah.
confidence that you believe that you deserve everything that your heart desires, and then you have to believe in fairy tales and happily ever after, so
Hmm.
you actually get them, because I feel like it's a
Yes.
two-step thing. So confidence and
Hmm.
the ability to believe in fairy tales, miracles, make believe,
Yes.
whatever you want to
Yes.
call it. And I think, and then just see the good in the world and people. I think those are my three
Oh my
things. I just want
goodness.
them to be happy.
Yes. I love. Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. And I have so many thoughts on this because I think what you truly own and you embody is this mindset of seeing the good around you no matter what. And that is a particular lens on the
Yeah.
world that a lot of people don't have that. They see the negative, the scary, the bad, the frightful, the things that, create anxiety and fear. And we always have a choice of what we teach our kids about. Do we want to teach them and raise them to be fearful and scared of the world and go out into it as an unconfident version of themselves and to believe that they cannot have what they want, or do we want to really equip them and help them to see what is possible and believing in the things that are the miracles in the world, but ultimately can become their reality? And so I have a story with this. Like when we first started traveling the first time in 2018, before we left, at that time we had a 9-month-old baby. We had our middle child was just turning 4, and then our oldest was turning 7. So like they were little, and people were like, don't you think it's dangerous to be traveling around the country with your kids? Aren't you afraid of like what they might see or experience? Or, you know, do you think it's really right of you to like take them away from their friends and their community? Like all of these
Yeah.
fear-based things. But what we found out was that when we got on the road, we had this lens of like, this is an adventure and we're going to meet incredible people and have these experiences. And we did. That was what we manifested, we created. And we met the most helpful, amazing people. And my kids were like, there are kind people everywhere, mom. Like everywhere we go,
Exactly.
people are here to help us. So it was like kind of what you were saying. And like that was our real life experience.
Exactly. It's I do feel like you have to you have to give these things to your children. And again, like I've always said that there is a fine line between um, fear and stupidity. That's how I
Yeah.
define it to my kids, especially like I have to speak in their terms
Yes.
so they understand the difference. And I tell them that, you know, fearlessness does not mean, because we were just having this discussion, and one of their friends was like, well, I'm fearless, I'm going bungee jumping. And I was like, no, that's like a hobby, an interest.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
as a mother, I think that's very stupid, going
Yes.
bungee jumping on a cliff or
Yeah.
skydiving. To me, that's not fearlessness. That's, I mean, when
Risky.
you're past 25, I told them, when you guys are 35, you can do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe when I'm dead, then do whatever.
Then you won't have
But
to, yeah, you won't have to know about it.
yes, if I while I'm alive, just be sane.
Yeah.
But to me, being fearless, exactly what you said, you have to take risks, you have to take chances. And when I say risk, I'm not talking about jump off a bridge to see if you're going to make it alive or not. That's
Mhm.
stupidity. And I think it's very important that we teach that difference to our children
Yes.
from a very young age, so they don't confuse, for the lack of a better word, stupidity with
Yes.
fearlessness.
Yes.
Fearlessness means taking risks. Fearlessness
Mhm.
means taking chances, trusting people. Um, just the other day, we were having a discussion. There was like a comment on Instagram. I don't know. I'm on Instagram and then I read comments. That's my hobby, I guess.
There's some
Now
good
that we know
ones on there.
there's and there are some good ones. Not like I never get any bad comments. I'm very lucky, but
Yes.
like sometimes I find very fascinating comments. And and sometimes there was a comment about like someone saying that she's about to have a baby and she needs help. And I just showed it to my husband and I was like, let me ask her account number and just send the
Mhm.
money. And then later on, I transferred the money and everything. And later on, like someone else, we were having a conversation and like someone else pointed out, what if it was a scam artist? And I was like, that's a thought
Mhm.
that would have never crossed my mind. And my friends do say that you're very naive. But my
Yeah.
thing is that I don't know if I'm not necessarily naive, or even if I'm aware, I don't want to think that I'm being scammed. And I'll
Yeah.
take the risk of being scammed if that means that there's a chance that I might genuinely be supporting someone
Yes.
who needs help.
Yes.
And that's the having good faith in humanity. That's what I want my
Yes.
children to have. I don't want the first thought to be that it's a scam artist. I mean, and to be honest, if it's a scam artist, then that was their hard day's worth of income that they earned through me. I was
Yes.
meant to be the source. That's how I think. I
Yes.
was meant to be the paycheck. I
Yeah.
was meant to give them that money. That money was never mine to begin with. So they
Yes.
earned it. But I feel like, I mean, it's just small examples like this that I want my children to have, that that's having fear that everyone could be a scam artist.
Yes.
Fearlessness means trusting that you won't get scammed. And if you
Mm.
do, it's all right.
Yeah.
You were the source of someone's paycheck. You were the son. Either
Yes.
way, that person, even if it's a scam artist, they have to feed their family. So maybe I fed a scam artist family. And I
Yes.
think it's okay to think that way, because if you don't, then you'll be
Yeah.
wary of every human being and
Yes.
everything that comes your way.
Mm.
And if you want to live a peaceful life, might as well just
Right.
go with the flow and accept things as they are, and
Hmm.
be open minded and not have fears or doubts about things. And I think when we stop having fears about everyone around us or the things, our
Yes.
environment, then we
Yes.
don't have fears about our choices and our life. And then we,
Yeah. It's almost like by living in that way, you're kind of like removing the blocks that keep energy from flowing, right? It's like when you think about money or energy interactions, it's this constant flow that we're in, that we should be in, like a stream that's always moving. But when we drop our fears in there, right, our fears and our worries, it blocks up, it dams up that flow. And so when I was listening to you,
definitely.
yeah, I was hearing you talk about money in that way. And I think that for a lot of people, they grip their money, their resources, their energy, their time like a death grip. And because they do that, they also stop the flow of what comes back to them. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh my God, that's so funny. See, it's so nice to talk to you, because that's, yes, it's again, I didn't think there were other people like that out
I'm
who thought
here.
that, because
Hello.
yes, that's, I feel that way. I feel
Yeah.
like if it's mine, no one can take it from me. And if it's not
Yes.
mine, then no matter how much I latch onto it, it's not going to happen. And be that money, be that a spot at a university for my kid, my
Mhm.
husband,
Yes.
um, because my children love, uh, just anything. If it's meant to be yours, no one can take it from you. And if it's not yours, you can try to do whatever you want. It's not going to be yours.
Yes.
So might as well just not worry, relax, enjoy life. It's short. It's just, there's no point. And you're right. Like I do feel like it's very it's very natural when we try to latch. A great example is children, because
Yeah.
money, maybe not everyone might understand that, but children, like if we try to cling on to them, or even relationships, if we
Mhm.
become clingy and needy and desperate for someone's love or attention, or for them to spend time with us, it's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
if you're relaxed about it, if you have a good relationship, if you just work on yourself and your relationship and how you want it to be in the
Yeah.
future, rather than just trying to cling on to that, it'll flow more naturally. For example, like people are surprised when my 18 and 15-year-old want to hang out with me rather than go out with their friends. And
Yes.
or like I've been told that I'm a very controlling parent. I'm like, trust me, I'm
It's
not. I have been trying to
their
like,
choice.
I have to bribe them to go do something with their
You're
lives.
like,
They just don't want
leave.
to. They're comfortable. They're too comfortable. But I
Oh,
think I wanted that. And I
yeah.
feel like I manifested that because I desired it so much that I wanted to have a very close relationship with my children. I
Mm,
wanted to be their best friend. At the same time, obviously, they know I'm their parent. But I
yes.
wanted them to feel at home with me and
Mm,
comfortable, that they don't have to run away from me. And my eldest Zen, he's actually quite mature for his
hmm.
age. Sometimes he's cocky, but
Well, he's an 18-year-old boy, right?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes,
It's
yeah,
normal.
there's Yes, sometimes he's cocky and he thinks he knows everything, but like I do learn a lot from him.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said, he's like, you do know why my friends leave the house all the time? And I'm like, yeah, for fun. And he's like, no, to run away from like the pressure from their parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, that does make sense. And I was like, but what about you? He's like, what do I have to run away from? I'm like, so you want me to do something, so you leave? And he's like, no. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it doesn't mean that he doesn't want his freedom. We were just having a discussion about how
Yeah.
Sophia, my youngest, she's 7, she's having anxiety attacks recently
Hmm.
because her big fear, she's very close to Zen, my 18-year-old,
Oh,
and they have a
yeah.
very strong bond. And she hears him applying for colleges and everything. And even though he's not choosing a college where he has to live on campus, but he's going to stay at home, that's his decision. But she's still nervous because he started going out with his friends. He went ice skating without
Oh,
her. And he went without her, but literally the next day he took her. But in her heart, like she feels that he's going to forget about her because she's 7 and that's the
of
age, or
course.
and
Yeah.
especially and she loves him the most. She loves him more than she loves me. Like she literally has
Hmm.
told me that very openly.
Oh,
But I love him.
good thing you're
she
so
she loves
confident
her
and comfortable with yourself, right?
very. They're very comfortable telling me their honest
Yes.
feelings. She told me that she loves him the most, then Zoya, her sister, and then
Oh,
Seth, her brother. So I come after the siblings,
yeah.
and then my husband's at the end. But
Poor husband.
at least he's loved.
Well, and I think too, it like the bottom line is that there's so much love in your home. Like it's so evident that even if, the children have their favorites, everyone feels loved, right? Is that kind of your experience of your home life?
Definitely. And I think it's because they're loved, that's why they're so open and honest. I
Yeah.
mean, Zoya's favorite parent, my 12-year-old, her favorite parent is Jibin, my husband.
Hmm.
The other three chose me, and their response was that they like my sense of humor more than his. So it's not exactly, I mean,
Yeah.
a big reason, but if I get the crown for being more funny in our house, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I've won. But and I think like definitely you have to love your children. You have to let them know that they're loved, and that can't be just a one-time thing. That hey, I love you, or
Yeah.
I bought you this dress, or I did this for you. That doesn't matter. Like I mean,
That's
again,
right.
Zen 18, he just has these discussions. He's like, I didn't ask to be born. I'm like, oh my God, if I would have said that to someone when I was growing
Yes.
up, I wouldn't be alive. And he's like, I know, but I can say this to you. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes, you can. But at the same
Hmm.
time, and it was funny because I was scolding Sophia over something, my 7-year-old, because she
Yeah.
wasn't listening. And I was, and it wasn't like a major scold. I was like, Sophia, you need to listen. And he was like, but she didn't ask to be born. You need to be the one who needs to be more patient. And that was just like a wake up call in
Wow.
a way, because I was like, he's right. I am the one who needs to be more patient because it was my choice to bring her into this world. So I
Yes.
need to have more expectations for myself rather than from her. Obviously, that doesn't mean I'm not going to parent her or scold her or
Right.
teach her things, but it's just like I mean, children, they teach you a
Oh
lot.
my
They teach
gosh.
you things
Yes.
that and I feel like because they're loved and because they're confident in who they are, they say things. They're very like my 15-year-old finds my husband very cheesy, and sometimes he laughs at his jokes, and then he's like, why is
Oh,
he so cheesy? And then
it's
he
that
looks at me, he's
age.
like,
Yes.
and he's like, why did you choose him? And I'm like, in order for you to be alive, I had to. So they and so
Yes.
then he's like, okay, I get it.
Oh my
Like, because
gosh.
the four of you had to be here. That's the only reason I'm with him. So you have to bring humor. And the
Yes.
older they get, you have to realize that you have to be more of a friend than a parent. You can't just
Yeah.
be constantly stern and strict. You
Yes.
have to joke around with them. You have to be a friend. Like,
Yes. Yes.
but they should know that you're a parent. It's tricky.
It is, yeah, it is such a tricky line to walk, but you are so right. Like I love your parenting approach and just what you have created in your home, because it is so evident that your kids feel so comfortable with you and the environment that they've been raised in. And I love what you said about like almost like us as the parents taking ownership of like, yes, we decided to have families, like we brought these children into the world and they're still learning their way, they're still getting oriented to life on earth, and we've been here much longer, so we can be patient as we kind of guide them and help them acclimate to what their life is going to look like and what their role is going to be.
Certainly, yeah, we have to take more responsibility. And I think that's one of the things that, at least for me, again, coming from two different cultures, um, in both my culture and Jibin's culture, one of the things that we wanted to do differently was a lot of times parents don't take that responsibility. They just feel
Mm-hmm.
like that you're here and, we gave birth to you, we gave you schooling and education and food and shelter, and that's it. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
like be grateful.
you be grateful. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's not the child's job to be grateful. It
Yeah.
truly is not. You cannot force someone to respect you, you can't force people to love you, and you can't force people to be grateful to you. You
Mm.
have to earn that right as a parent. And
Mm-hmm.
if I want my
Mm-hmm.
children to love me, if I want them to be close to me, if I want them to confide in me, and if I want them to be actually grateful to me that I'm their parent, then
Yes.
I need to work very hard on myself, on my relationship with them constantly, every single day, every minute, every hour. I need to not have an ego. I need to
Yeah.
apologize. And I need to not just apologize once, I need to go over time and apologize for things that
Mm.
hurt them, or that I might have said that were wrong, or that I wasn't doing the best parenting in the past, and that apologize then, but also later
Mm-hmm.
on when things have calmed down in the future, apologize again and again and again, and until
Yes.
you believe they have forgiven you.
Yes.
And even if they say they have forgiven you, for example, just yesterday when Sophia was having this anxiety that Zen might forget about her, I told her, Sophia, I'm so sorry that you feel this way, because maybe it was our fault that we just made you think that you were forgettable, because you're so
Oh,
special. We should have never let you feel that way. And
yeah.
again, I'm going to bring that up again and again the next few weeks, because she needs to feel. And she said, it's okay. And that just meant that maybe, that apology meant something to her, but it also made me realize that she needed that apology, because obviously then we
Yes.
have done something in order for her to feel insecure that Zen might forget about her. And it's not
Yeah.
just Zen's fault. I mean, he's 18. He's the
Totally.
best older
Yes.
brother, but he's still a child. And I
Yes.
think that's another thing that people need to understand, that teenagers are children. They're just because they're 18 and they're
Absolutely.
so-called grown-ups, they're children. They need hugs, they need love, they need cuddles, they need kisses, they need
Yes.
one-on-one time with you. They need you to listen to them, understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think apologizing just for anything, this was a one of the things, but apologizing if you scolded your child like 3 years ago for something that you feel that you shouldn't have, or you're parenting
Yeah.
the next child differently, apologize. I apologize to Zen and Seth so much, because I'm like, I was young when I had
Oh
the
my
two of you.
goodness.
I
Yes.
didn't know any
Yes.
better. I followed so many rules that society told me. And
Same.
then I was like, I cannot do this.
Yes. Yes. And
And
that's the
with Zoe
thing.
and Sophia, I feel like I was more
Yeah.
relaxed parent.
Oh my gosh. I think that's so common though. I mean, I definitely relate. I feel the same way that like with my oldest, we were so much more stern. We had so many more rules. And
Yes.
really, here's the thing is that at the time, my husband and I hadn't done all of this personal growth work that we've done now. Like we've been growing as human beings through parenthood and within ourselves. And so naturally we're applying that now to the way we parent our children, but we didn't have that knowledge back then. So yes, there's always this,
That's
yeah, we're saying to our oldest, like, we're so sorry. Like we know that we parented you differently and but it was just that was what we knew at the time.
and that's such a good point. That's actually such a beautiful point, that just acknowledging that yes, we're growing. I mean, I'm 42. I'm going to be 43 next month, and I still have no idea what I'm doing with my life. So
Same.
how 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 could I know? Back then, and then raising a
Yeah.
human being, it's a task. But yes, I think apologizing is the first step you can do to with your children, because knowing you're not perfect, and knowing your parenting is not perfect, and knowing that we don't know everything. And
Yes.
even today, I can't say that I know everything. I mean, I learn so much from my children. I sometimes I'll read something on Instagram, or I'll watch like something, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to, I should have done this a long time ago, but maybe I can implement this more. And I notice that the more I
Hmm.
implement things that make sense to me and that feel right in my heart, like I feel like I'm becoming a better parent. But only
Hmm.
time will tell, but we'll see.
It's beautiful. We are always a work in progress. And I think that that is what is so special about being humans and having this experience, is that we get to always be learning and growing and never stop that process of the continual evolution of who we are and how we're meant to be and serve on this earth. So I feel that
Absolutely.
very strongly, especially in the home with our families. And I'm so grateful for everything that you have shared here today. It's like, I feel like I could probably talk to you for hours,
Oh,
because
thank you.
you have so much wisdom and experiences to offer. I wanted to ask you, where would be a great place for people to connect with you? Like, they want to come find you and follow your family's journey and see what you're up to. Where should they
Uh, my
look?
in, my Instagram account, it's
Mhm.
a magical chaos, and then the
Okay.
number 6.
Okay. A magical
So
chaos
it's
6.
yes, that's my
Perfect.
Instagram account. That's the best
Yay.
place to follow me.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And you were like, weren't you in apartment therapy or some other, didn't your home get
Yes,
featured?
yes, a couple of times in apartment therapy.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
and and a
so
couple of
cool.
other places too. Yes,
Yes. Okay.
I have all those highlights saved on my Instagram.
Amazing. Okay, so maybe what I will do is I will grab some of those links and I will stick them in my show notes. So for those of you listening or watching this episode later and you want to get a glimpse into Javaria's home, you'll be able to go take a peek and see more from her family. So, okay, well, I appreciate you so much. It was such an honor to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, thank you. No, it was a pleasure. It was truly a pleasure, and it was so wonderful talking to you. It really was.